You're watching EVH and Gear TV, brought to you by Design39 Media. Visit design39media.com for all your website, photography, and video production needs. Microphones for EVH and Gear TV are provided by Rode Microphones, and official Van Halen merchandise is provided by VanHalenStore.com. And now, here's your host from Ontario, Canada, EVH artist Eric Broadbent.
Hey everyone, it is the weekend. Happy Friday to you all. It feels like it's been a while since we've been on the air, but I think it's only been probably somewhere around a week. But it's a weekend. That's all that matters. Welcome to EVH and Gear TV. We are live, and I'm joined by a familiar face many of you know, unless you've been hiding under a YouTube rock somewhere. Ryan Fluff Bruce. How you doing, buddy?
What's going on, man? How you doing?
Great to have you. And
thanks for having me.
Hey, that's a pleasure. It's a long overdue. As I was just saying to you off the air, I saw you in passing at NAMM and didn't get a chance to say hi. It's one of those things I figured I'd catch up with you eventually, which we've done. And it's great to have you. And, you've been a mentor of mine, so I have to give props for props.
Oh, thanks, man.
Yeah.
You're so nice. Jeez.
Thank you.
Like, a lot of podcasts, well, no, that makes it sound like all podcasts are not nice.
No, there's good
ones. They're very, I don't know what the word for it is. Not casual.
Okay.
Like they're very like,
yeah.
Okay, so thank you very much, man. That's really nice of you.
No problem. I was just having a conversation earlier this evening too with a good buddy of mine, talking about a guest, and I'm saying, kind of describing this show to him. I'm saying it's formulated, or it's scripted somewhat, but still remains loose. And it's nice just to kind of talk about gear. Sometimes people are a little worried, what am I getting into here? And it's more like hanging out in the living room and chatting about gear with a bit of an agenda. And it's what's fun. Like, just have some flow, but have some fun too.
So do you remember the first time you hit me up to do the podcast?
It was a long time ago. You
hit me up like a year ago.
Yeah, that was probably right after NAMM.
And I saw the title, and I was in, like, I don't know, I was in the middle of doing something.
As always.
And I think I was actually on a plane somewhere. Like, I was jet lagged, and I was feeling very snarky. And I basically just said, no, I don't want to do that. Like, that doesn't interest me. Like, because I saw the title, I was like, why would I want to talk about Eddie Van Halen for like an hour and a half? Because that, in my jet lagged mind, I thought, like, you can only talk about Eddie Van Halen. Don't talk about anything unless, you know what I mean? Like, when you're sleep deprived, and like, I didn't think about it. And then you hit me up again, and I was like, oh man, I was a total ass to that guy.
Actually, you weren't. It's all good. No, it's totally
really
good.
I felt like I was.
No, you were not. No, and I'm being totally honest on that. And that's the thing. That's where people get the misconception. And it's so funny. We're going to get into this later on this evening as well too. We're going to talk about dealing with negatives that come in our territory as a YouTuber, and especially for you in a bigger huge territory compared to where I'm at. But dealing with some negatives, and where a lot of people think that when I'll reach out and I'll invite them to come on the show, they see the name EVH and they get scared away right away because, I don't know anything about EVH. That's okay. And really the nucleus, and if I can give a Cole's Notes short version of what the show's all about, it's kind of, okay, how is Eddie Van Halen, everyone has an opinion on this. How has Eddie Van Halen inspired the world of manufacturers? And you don't even have to know a thing about Van Halen to know what Eddie Van Halen has done to inspire the world of manufacturers, guitar players. If you can't play a lick of Van Halen,
community.
Yes, and we're going to talk about that because one of the questions I have on the itinerary is one of your 5150 reviews you're talking about, and I've got a really good buddy over on the other side of the world too, Neil Morris, who's from the band Broken, and probably know him.
I think I do, yeah.
Yeah, and he's 5150 for the metal community, and I didn't realize how big it was. So that's all it is. We bounce a couple questions. Depending on who the guest is, it might be 80% Van Halen questions and 20% whatever. But there's always a little common thread, and then it's all about the guest. And we go off on different tangents. We'll talk about cooking and injuring yourself in the kitchen and all kinds of crazy stuff. So,
all right.
No, it's
or
good.
maybe we'll get crazy and we'll just flip the tables, and I'm just going to interview you the whole time.
Hey, I'll try my best. I'm not a good interviewee, that's for sure. But listen, we're gonna have some serious fun. Let's go say hi to a couple quick people for sure. I mentioned off the air one person who was talking about you here as well, in a good positive way. So I've got my good buddy James from Ottawa jumping in. Warren Hughes, great guitarist, says what's up everybody. And I was sharing you, James Poulin, sharing with you the story. Warren says, he says, funny story. I saw Fluff at the LA Amp show. He even did some video of me in the Hughes and Kettner room. I've seen him 1,000 times online and didn't know who he was in person. And share with our audience here real quick the story that you said, when you'd go to booth, and sometimes people forget who you are until you, show a little replica of you.
Yeah, I mean, in the early days of me going to NAMM, like I used to have to beg to get a pass to NAMM. You have to start somewhere, right? And the channel was very, very young, and I was hustling really hard. And I would have these reps that I would correspond with email and phone calls for, at that point, almost 2 years. And I went to go meet them in person, and they would know who I was. They would go, okay, yeah, nice to meet you. Can I help you with something? And I'll go, well, I'm the Riffs Beards and the Gear. I do the demos, and they're like, you're gonna have to be more specific than that, kid. Like, I don't know, what do you want? So then I took a business card and I cut out the bauble in the middle of the show, and I stuck it in my NAMM badge. And because everyone does the NAMM look, hey, how's it going?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, hey. And so as soon as they do that, they go, oh, hey man, what's up? And I was just like, well, the bauble was the bobblehead thing was a stroke of brilliance by a good friend of mine, Jason.
Nice.
And he's the one who came up with it. He was like, you need to brand yourself. And I was like, what? That's stupid. No one's ever going to watch my stuff. And he was right.
But it's helped tremendously, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's really like gives people an identifier.
Yes.
To kind of latch onto,
whether it's a logo or a figure or some kind of a slogan or a catchphrase, whatever it is,
right.
Whatever sticks. I always say here in Canada, it's like throwing spaghetti at the wall, and whatever sticks is something you roll with, at least for the current.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, actually, let's take a little twist here for a second as well too. And this was something I was going to ask you later into the program, but we're kind of on the same tangent. I was watching some of your videos today. Like I watch all your videos, half the gear reviews. I mean, anybody that's looked for gear reviews has either seen yours or they've seen Paul Riario from Guitar World.
I love Paul.
Me too.
So much.
Me too. And like him, love him, hate him, anywhere in between. You've seen his videos, you've seen yours, and I mean, I'm not just saying you guys are the only two out there doing it. There's millions of people doing it. But you guys are very popular, and you're seen a lot, and you're always referred in other videos. But I went back. I wanted to go way back, and I'm sure you've probably put some videos up back in the day that you've maybe deleted, maybe used YouTube as a dumping ground and just deleted some stuff. But the first couple I watched were you're doing some dual rectifier videos, and one was kind of you're showing the sounds of it with no visuals, and that was back in around 2011. And then there was one very shortly after where you're actually playing. Now, do you go back sometimes? And I know we all do this. And I follow a lot of other YouTubers and other genres of not music, but photography and things like that.
Oh, sure.
And one photographer that I really, really like, I watched one of his videos and he put it up. He actually hid it for many years because he became very, very popular. And then it was so cringy. He wanted to give people, what was the word I'm looking for? He wanted to give them hope, right? Like everyone starts somewhere. Do you look back at your videos and sometimes go like, ooh, like what was I doing there kind of thing? And how do you think you've grown?
Yeah, I recently, I can't remember what it was for. I think it was it was some kind of anniversary. Oh man, I'm so terrible. I basically went back and I did a reaction video to my old videos. Because I hadn't seen them. I mean, I don't sit here and just I don't sit and look at my old stuff.
You don't have time.
Some super narcissistic guy.
Yeah.
And it was so bad. Like I hate watching my old stuff. I was so hell bent on not talking because at that time, most of the reviews, this is like circa 2010. Most of the review and gear related stuff on YouTube was either extensive talking and just regurgitating specs that you've probably already seen on the Sweetwater page, and you're looking for something a little bit more.
Yeah.
It wasn't really audio related yet at that time. And if it was just really poor camera audio. And I was really mad about that. Like I was upset that I used to just go and try to find stuff and I couldn't find anything. It was just people reading off the website. And I was just really upset by that. So my old tagline before I actually had an official Riffs Beards and Gear branding was less talk, more tone.
Okay.
I think is what I used to go by.
Yeah.
And that was my thing, is I didn't talk.
Nice.
And also because I was scared to death of talking to the camera and being on camera.
It can be difficult, even now. I'm sure even today. I mean, you're a seasoned pro when it comes to it, and always learning, obviously, still. But it's still, you never. At least I feel that you never get into that zone where you're absolutely like, there's nothing that can bother me.
Never.
Yeah, and that's a good.
There's
sign.
Always that crippling self-doubt.
Yep.
I think that goes without saying for all creative types.
Yes.
You can hide behind the song, the guitar, the piece of gear or whatever, but like all of us have the crippling self-doubt and the moments of absolute, what am I doing?
Mm-hmm.
And that's a common thread. And if you know that going into it, I don't know, it makes it kind of easier for me. But
well, it's a perfect example of a band. Take one of your shows. You go to a show and you're in that moment, and all of a sudden you think you just butchered a section. I mean, you just butchered it. And then one of your friends posts a video on Facebook or YouTube or whatever, and you watch it back, and whether it's good quality or bad quality, whatever, and you're looking like, oh my God, actually I did okay there. It's because you're super judging yourself at the moment, and sometimes with maybe some of your videos, you might look back and say, oh man, I hate that to death. And then someone comment. This is where a lot of times you'll find you get forced into your old videos because people may subscribe to your channel. People may find your videos by an old video from 5 years ago. They comment on that, and I know you're good for responding to people and things like that. So you're drawn back to that video, whether you liked it or not, and you see it again, you're like, ugh. But then you deal with the comment, and then you take okay, I learned a lot since that date. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. And it's funny the amount of people that don't look at the date. So like I'm still getting comments on some of the first earliest videos of, this is really terrible. Next time you should do it like this. And I'm like, hello, I have 7 more years of videos.
Yeah.
And this is the one you chose to comment on?
This is 2012. How about you fast forward to even 2016? Let's go up about 4 years and have a look.
Yeah. Like, that's not how you record guitars. Like, I was just figuring it out then. Like, look at something newer, dude.
You're totally right. Commenter for sure. And that's the thing too. There's sometimes I have some videos I would just think like, maybe it's time to delete. But you know what? There's something about it, even if you look absolutely horrible. I mean, I've got some that if I watch right now, they're so embarrassing to me, but there's some merit to it. There's one little point that maybe works, and it's worth it to keep it for that one particular person that comes in and learns something from it.
Do you ever miss that element of how you used to feel when you were first starting out, when you had a really long hill ahead of you? You know that feeling of like, I'm going to prove you wrong, or I'm going to, that chip that only comes with having absolutely nothing. And not that you do this for anything numbers related or anything like that. You do it because you love it.
Mm-hmm.
And do you ever miss, like, back when you were first starting out, do you ever miss those days at all?
Yeah, I do.
Get nostalgic about it?
I do. Because
I do too.
What started for me, and actually this is good. This is a really good conversation. Let's go into this direction to see how you started. For me, I had no idea about doing this and talking to cool people out there on the internet. I mean, we do that in our lives through Facebook and through emails and things like that. But on a one-on-one interview type thing, I was, I've loved Van Halen and I have a lot of the Van Halen gear and pedals and stuff like that. And I thought, okay, I used to use YouTube as a dumping ground. Let's get videos off my computer and stick them on YouTube, and it was band stuff back in the day before I retired. And then I thought, let's share some of my pedal knowledge and hooking up pedals and stuff like that. And I said, hey, maybe I'll continue this. If you like it, show some comments down below. And I was terrified. Camera audio, like you said, sometimes shot with cell phones, in a lot of cases, really bad cell phones. Like almost like a Motorola Flip with a video camera, if that's capable, Viewmaster, and the feedback came somewhat positive, and I pursued it, and and that flying by the seat of your pants, not knowing what you're doing, no scripts back then, no like 0 scripts. It's just like that kind of thing. But how about you? When you got into that?
Mine was started from a forum argument. I used to hang out on Rig Talk and the Boogie Board because I was super into Maze Boogies at the time.
Yeah.
And there was an argument on how a dual rectifier would sound mic'd with an Audix i5 versus an SM57, which are two totally different mics.
Sure.
And these guys were arguing back and forth. I'm sure you could still find the thread somewhere. And no one had any evidence to back anything that they were saying up on a forum. Can you believe it?
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, oh, I'm bored. I should get into doing that home recording stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because I really wanted to do home recording when I was like 16 years old, but that was 1996 and home recording did not exist then.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I should give it a shot. And I bought both mics. You know, they're $100 a pop. Not a big deal. I was working a corporate Boeing gig at the time, and I just did it. And I posted the video, and I got in the chat, and I posted it. And the video got like 100 views. And I thought, wow, I can't. 100 people watched that video, and I don't know any of them.
Yeah, strangers.
Like, that's pretty cool.
It sure is.
And I just really loved the art of recording and post-production. I still do. I mean, that's why I do what I do. But yeah, I just started. So first came the audio, and then I was like, well, eventually I have to show me playing because people were asking for it. And so I got the family Sony CyberShot.
Okay, remember that? Yeah.
And I would prop it up, and I would have to film every video I did twice. So I would film it. I'd film it once because you couldn't see if the angle was good. So I'd film it once.
Oh, wow.
Look at it. And if it happened to be good, then I just got lucky.
Yeah.
But more often than not, I would have to reframe it and then shoot it again and just hope it was in frame. That's just how I did it.
Wow.
I don't know any other way.
Yeah. That's the tools that were available to you. When you shoot today, do you have someone assist you?
No.
No, you still self-shoot?
Yep.
Yeah.
Everything.
I tend to have Junior, who you met earlier tonight on the call. I have him because, they always say never self-shoot. And I mean, you certainly can in a pinch. And you do, obviously, you do very well. Yeah. But my vision is horrible. And focus for me is, I've done some videos that I've done the whole shoot. And I come back and I watch. And it's like, man, it's like Vaseline across the screen.
What happened?
And what do you do? It's like, I've had to scrap some stuff. So he's my eyes. Not only that, he's the director and the producer in a lot of cases too. So it's always nice. Cool. But that helps tremendously. But yeah, it's come so far, from what you've done in the past, what we've all done in the past to where we are today. But it's nice things. It is good to leave those old cringy videos up there because you give encouragement to other people. You can do it. Everyone starts somewhere.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I agree. Jump back over to the chat there as well. Quentin James is here saying, first question, he says.
First question.
Yeah, there you go. He said he was trying to do it in your voice. James Bullen, brew in hand. Let's go. Warren Hughes says, silly me, thank you for the video, Fluff. Let me see. Welcome. Carlo Santin, my fellow Canadian friend, says, and he's turning over to line 6, man, big time. And we'll talk about that later on in the evening as well, too. He went from an HX effects to full-blown Helix. He hasn't made the purchase yet, but he's trying one out right now, so we'll talk about that tonight, and he's loving it.
Cool.
Let me see here. Quentin James, Warren, no one recognizes you because you're always looking at your fretting hand. He's got the hood on. He's always looking at his fret hand. Warren, it's like I go to these things and I have a one-track mind or something. Blimpus Videos is here saying, hello, Eric and Fluff. Curtis Murata is here. Happy Aloha Friday, everyone. Jason Sadites, you must know Jason in the Line 6 community. Jason, look for his stuff. He does a lot of the Dialing In series.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, he's great. And a fellow Canadian who I just discovered, I had no idea that he lives another, Glen Fricker, another 25 minutes away from me. So Jason and I are going to hook up soon to do something together. He's saying, cool. Hi there, Eric and Ryan, for sure. Richard Henry from the other side of the world. Hey, Eric and Ryan, hello from across the water. Robert Baker is here. He says, let's summon demons. Best shirt ever. Great.
Gotta summon them, man.
Humbucker Lover Guitar News Network is here. Great. Tell some of your people about that guitar group. It's really, really cool. Just for anything guitar news, it's very, very cool. Him and I are doing some Skype guitar stuff tomorrow. Looking forward to it. Matt Harrison is here saying, what's up, guys? What's happening, guys, I should say. Kurt, let me see. I scrolled too fast. Kurt Singer is here, and I do this every single time. I'm going to try to find where I left off there. Pardon me, I'm sorry. At one point, I thought this channel was only EVH. Glad I kept digging into your videos. Great content. And that's the thing. That we're opening up doors a lot more too. And here, this goes again to the negative that you can get as becoming a, when you venture into the YouTube territory, you can, you get accused. I get accused of being too much EVH, and then the next person will comment, "There's not enough EVH."
Yeah.
Okay. Well, if I'm 50% this too much, I'm 50%. Where am I at? You know what I mean? You
gotta do what makes you happy, man.
Yeah, you do too many gear reviews. You need to talk more. You talk too much.
Oh man, I get it. I get it pretty good. Lately, everyone's been pretty snarky, no matter what I do.
Yeah.
And it's weird. The public will try to. It's kind of hard to explain, but it's a form of cyberbullying.
Yeah.
When they're trying to take ownership of your thing.
Yep.
By chopping you down for something that they're watching for free.
Yes.
Like they're not paying anything for any of this. Like I'm gonna do what I want because I do this for me.
Mm-hmm.
Like sorry, and you do this for you.
That's right. That's right.
First and foremost.
That's right.
And that's how it should be. This is your baby.
Yep.
And that stuff is my baby. And like, I don't care if anybody likes it. Like I didn't do this to.
That's right.
I just love it, man. Like I don't know. It's just makes me feel all warm and fuzzy.
Yeah. Well, here's an example. Let's say Black & Decker, the tool company, contacts you or I right now and says, okay, guys, I want you to do a review on this blender. Okay. And we don't know, I know anything. Maybe you do know about blenders. I don't know much about them. I know they mash stuff up. How
awesome would it be if I did know a whole bunch about blenders and I was like, well.
Yeah, that would be awesome. That'd be really, really cool. However, so if it's like you've worked, I know, I'm sure you in many years worked in sales, whether it be music, retail or whatever. Yep. I've had a lot of sales experience. Yep. Where you succeed is when you believe in the product, and you're an ambassador for different brands. We'll talk about that tonight. And I like to talk about different brands and I like to try to promote them. But if you don't know anything about it, first of all, people will see right through that. So if you're talking about a blender and saying you should buy this because of this, then I could see people having the right to attack you and saying, Fluff, you don't know anything about blenders, man. You get out of the game. Well, you're doing this because you love music, you love the gear, Absolutely. You know a lot about it, and you're providing the content, like you said, for free. Now, it's one thing if you have Patreon subscribers and people that pay for your content.
Sure.
And then Absolutely. They say, I'm not feeling I'm getting the love here, or that, is it worth to subscribe? That's a different story. But when you're providing content for free, it's a totally different game. Yeah.
I always get, so a lot of my stuff, like a lot of people think that I get a lot of comments on how much did they pay you to do this? I just thought it was cool. And I was showing you guys, like I get accused a lot of, oh, you're just being paid off. It's just a money grab. But if I do something like the cheapest guitar on Amazon,
which you buy,
that's okay.
Yeah, I know.
That's totally okay. But if I show some plugin, oh, that's totally, you're just totally a puppet, man. Like, no, I just thought it was cool. Jeez.
That's right. Well, that's when people come here. One of the things some people will say to me, they'll say, well, all the reviews you do are favorable. Well, here's the secret to that. There's a lot of reviews out there, a lot of channels that will do, this is a great product, this product sucks, or anywhere in between. I won't do any reviews on things that suck. It's not worth my time. Honestly, it's totally not worth my time to do a review on something that sucks. I mean, you know how many hours goes into these things, way more than we like to admit. And is it worth it? The only thing that's worth it to me on a YouTube review, there's two things that are worth it. And before even the manufacturer is happy, the product manufacturer, it's the consumer base. If someone comes and says, you know what, that was so helpful, I bought that product based on your recommendation, I don't get a commission check. Now sure, sometimes through some Amazon affiliate things and things like that, there's a 50 cents here or whatever, but it's not a commission check from the manufacturer. It's like, wow, that's that warm and fuzzy feeling that you talked about earlier when someone buys something because you showed it.
Right. And I think I get lumped into the review channel a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I don't do reviews. Like if I do a review, it's going to say review, but otherwise it's a demo.
Yes.
It's what I would do with this thing if I actually owned it.
That's right.
That's all. And I leave it to them. The whole point of my channel was to let the viewer decide if they liked it or not. And so many people look to me and go, well, is it better than this or not? I'm like, I'm not going to tell you if a Kemper is better than a Fractal that is better than a Helix. Like, you make that call, man.
Yeah. Who are you to say
That's
that it is? That's right.
Who am I to say?
Yeah. Just because Fluff says it is, it doesn't mean necessarily that it is.
That's right.
Yeah.
And a lot of people have completely missed that point over the years with my stuff.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, you never say anything bad. I'm like, well, see how long your career lasts if you just try to make a career out of chopping things down.
Exactly.
That's this sucks. Let's set it on fire. Like, that's only going to get you so far for so long. Like,
that's right.
If you just check it out and let people decide, then all the better.
That's right. It's like the shock food reviewers, right? You go into like a really, really nice restaurant. It's like, service was horrible. Steak was room temperature. It's like, and they want to be brash and almost swear in their reviews. And really, what does that do? Just to make you look like a jerk.
Yes, that's a great example, actually.
Yeah. And a lot of us too in the YouTube community, people will sometimes, like, especially for you, you'll get approached by people all the time. But what people don't realize is that, there's probably gigs that you will turn down for the sole fact that, it's very nice and flattering to be approached. But, if you can't give it a favorable review and even sometimes anything good to say, it's best, like the old cliche, if you have nothing good to say, let's move along. Right?
Yeah.
And just refrain from it. For sure. But that's one of the next questions I had down the road for you is the fact that you've had the, probably the opportunity to review almost a whole music store's worth of gear over the years. I mean, with the amount of stuff that's been sent your way that, you've established and people have reached out to you, what is something that you've had the opportunity to review that not only was a blessing and that you loved, but something that maybe is like a mainstay of your arsenal of gear today?
Oh, man.
Tough one.
Yeah. Wow. You're going deep already. Wow. Okay.
Let's get you going. We can always come back to it.
There's been like a few microphones. I mean, the Apollo.
Okay.
The Universal Audio Apollo interface. They had sent me just to review a little twin. And I wasn't super familiar with the whole Universal Audio thing and monitoring in real time. Mm-hmm. And hooking up a bunch of 1176s, going into your DAW and things like that, and I got it, and I was like, "This is incredible!" And I just recently got an Apollo 8 finally. I think the Helix was that way for me in a lot of ways.
Nice.
There's been a couple of microphones. Balaguer guitars,
yes.
Whom my signature model is with.
The Hyperion?
He had sent me one of his early guitars just to do a review on. I was like, dude, this thing is awesome. Balaguer guitars, the Apollo, and the Helix, I'd say, were the things that I'm like, hey, can we talk about me hanging on to this? Because can I just buy this?
No, I didn't know much about the Apollo, but I figured just watching some of your things, Line 6 for sure, and the Hyperion guitar of yours as well too. I was looking that up today as well too. So that's kind of obviously I've seen it, but it's more like a Firebird / that along that line kind of. Is that, am I safe in saying that?
Yeah.
Yeah, very nice guitar. And are you mainly like a one humbucker dude?
Yeah, pretty much. Although with clean stuff, I like the neck.
Nice. And did you play in the middle position a lot too?
No, never.
Never
actually.
Never really.
No.
Wow.
It's too middle of the road.
Okay, so it's got to be one or the other for you.
Most of the time.
Okay. I do agree with you though when it comes to Helix, and when you and I were talking about doing the show, I presented 2 offers to you to do this show or do the new segment that I've got launching on Sunday called the Helix Hour. And the reason why I developed this new segment was because, Helix has entered my life back in the fall. I guess it would be, I'm going to say September, October, sometime last year. I had Jeff Waters from the Canadian metal band Annihilator, which I'm sure you're familiar with. And, of course I'm familiar with Line 6. It's not like that I didn't know the brand. I've had some of their products over the past, as a kid. I shouldn't say that, but they weren't even around when I was a kid. But, as an adult, young adult. So Jeff's on talking about this Helix, whatever. And next thing you know, I've got a Helix rack here starting to play with it. And it changed my life immediately. And I know you got the rack. And let's talk about that. As a guy that's these big tube amps, like the Mesas and everything in between, how has it changed your life? I see you putting all kinds of patches on custom tone. How has it changed your life both in the studio and live?
So for live, I used to tour around with a pedal board, and we were doing these opening slots in some of these tours, as well as our headlining stuff. But we would do these shows for like these bigger shows, and in those situations, you have to basically uncap the caps from the road cases, throw the road cases on, play, and then immediately rip all your stuff off. And it's go, 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 go. So any second you can gain and shave off from setup, the better. And if you're more efficient, then that's just better for everybody. And the pedal board thing, I was running a pedal board wireless, and then it was like a power cable, a cable all the way back to the amp. And then if I wanted something in the loop, I either had to just have something like I had no tap tempo, so then I have to run 2 more cables out.
Oh, man.
And I just got tired of the cable management stuff. And I decided I wanted to go completely just a single Ethernet cord to some kind of a controller.
Sure.
And I got in touch with Matt at Line 6, and he's like, well, you want to do a video on the Helix, and you can just check it out and keep it for a while and see if it's even something you would use in your live rig. And I looked up how to do the 4 cable method.
Yep. Which you've got some good videos on, by the way.
Yeah, thank you. And so I wanted to do the 4 cable method, but I wanted it specifically set up with the snapshots and how to do MIDI. And that took a second. But Eric and Matt both were very, very helpful and resourceful. And because my main concern was lag, and if there was going to be some kind of a lag, because a lot of these units, it's like, you have to hit it on the 3 to change by the 4.
Yeah.
There's a lot of lag in some of these units. And with the snapshot, preloads the DSP, it was just a revelation. I was like, oh my God. Like, I immediately ordered a new road case because I didn't have the three extra spaces for the Helix. So I immediately ordered a case, and I was like, I have to have this. So let's chat. And then I really wanted one for the studio desk, because if you're feeling creative, the last thing you want to do is stop and start dialing and patching and all that stuff. You just want to kind of go. And so I have a rack Helix set up in via SPDIF into the Apollo. And all I have to do is just turn it on, and off I go. And it's been awesome. So
I like that, especially when you're talking about delays between switching, especially with your style of music, which is very fast, very up tempo.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't have time to even think. It's got to be instantaneous with the snapshots like you're talking about. And it's worked for me as well too. Like I'm a tube guy through and through, just like yourself. I mean, there's no substitution for tube, and it's one of the things I like about the staff at Line 6. You've come into contact with them many times daily, I'm sure. They never want to say it's our stuff and nothing else. They really want to see it integrate with your favorite gear. And I've been doing some things where I'm using the Helix as the kind of a left and right, kind of a wet, and then I'm using the tube amp right up the center dry, no effects. And it sounds cool. absolutely beautiful. You get your cake and you can eat it too, which is quite nice. Yeah. I do. I
just use it mainly in the live rig for effects and amp switching and tuning.
Okay.
Because basically it's basically replaced the pedal board, and I can actually have something in the loop, tap tempo. I can have my cake and eat it too, because I want the tube amp core tone, but I want all the bells and whistles of the Helix. And so they get to work together, and they work together beautifully. And I can still switch with MIDI. And if something goes down, I just plug in a different controller, and it's clean. And I have one single Ethernet cable out to the front of the stage, and otherwise I'm completely wire free.
That's perfect.
It's the dream rig. It's awesome.
Now, how does someone like yourself or other guitar players out there that are used to these pedal boards that do everything they want, they've got all their favorite, all their favorite pedals, sometimes boutique pedals, sometimes whatever, over the counter, blah, blah, blah. And now we can do it all with one solution. How does one go from that comfort zone to something like this that does it all for you? without kind of like being like out of their comfort zone.
Yeah, a lot of the pedal guys, I mean, I'm into pedals. I like pedals a lot.
Sure.
I'm not like some of the guys who are like hardcore purists. I just want whatever's going to get me there sonically. I don't care really what it is.
Yeah.
And I get a lot of the pedal guys like to bend down and start just twisting knobs.
Sure.
Okay, that's valid. But if you're playing, if you have a 2-week tour and on day 5, some kid is stage diving and steps on your pedals or spills something on it, on your board, and all of a sudden you have no sound and you have no idea why, that's the worst ever.
You don't know where to start looking.
You don't know where to start.
Or even a cable that's gone bad, a patch cable between pedal to pedal to pedal. That can happen a lot.
Yes, that's what, I mean, I never really had a problem with cables after we switched. So me and the band have a HOSA endorsement.
Yeah, a good cable company, yep.
Yeah, and HOSA has just been amazing to me and the band. Whatever we need, they just always hook us up. They're so good to us. And Dylan came in and was basically like, you guys need better cables. And he hooked us all up with cables. And after that, we didn't have a problem with cables. But chasing a cable problem is just the worst because you're wasting time and spending something stupid while you're doing it.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's always the simplest thing too when it comes to cables. You're going through from pedal to pedal to pedal, and it might even actually be your guitar cable going to the first pedal, not even any of your patch cables, but you don't have time to troubleshoot on the fly like that. Especially like you said, you've had most of your career is like the opening act, and the way you get hired again for these big acts is these are the guys that are in and out, no stress, no divas, no nothing. And if you can't do that, then the jobs, the phone calls are going to stop coming in.
That's absolutely true. You never want to be the guy or the band that everyone's waiting on. Oh, hang on, I got to get my level. Hang on, just it's the worst.
One of the nicest compliments you probably could ever get, and I'm sure you've probably had it over the years, is when you get one of the maybe the guitar player from the headline act, whatever. Man, why'd you cut your set so short? You could have did another 7 minutes, man. You were on fire. Because you were that guy that got in and out. And, you did it well.
Yeah, we, our band, Rest Repose is kind of, we have a set and we will help you load off and we will load on and we will rip through our set. And if someone's running over or whatever, we will take the slack and we will cut our set short.
Nice.
Just to right the boat. We're that band because it's about the bigger picture. It's never about you. It shouldn't be about you.
That's right. And that's how your following will develop as well too. These are the guys that are they're fun, they help, and you're gonna own a lot of those fans from the headline act or the other opening acts as well too. And it just it's just so addictive for sure. Let's jump back over the chat for a quick second and continue on with that as well too. And we're going to come back. I'll let you think about this a little bit, talking about when you got into music, and you can tell us a little bit about maybe some of the other things you might have done before music was a thing, maybe with some sports or things like that. So we'll come back to that. So I forgot to mention Jay Tacos and Guitars. We were just talking before we went live with him. He's got a great channel as well too. He has a really cool little corner at the end of he does a lot of reviews as well too. And at the end of his reviews, he does a coffee corner where it's kind of coffee and conclusions. So after he does a review, one of his sponsors is a coffee company, which is very, very cool. And
I want to get that.
Yeah,
how do you get that?
Reach out, man. That's a lot of times, we go after what we think is the right things, right? Gear. And then sometimes it's like, how about a pizza company or a coffee company, right? We need to eat and drink some coffee.
FAQ Mondays, I need a coffee sponsorship.
That's right. So he'll do coffee and conclusions. And so here's my wrap up, whereas another reviewer I like to watch here again too, Curtis Judd. He's into audio, video, photography, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You know Curtis?
I love his videos.
Yeah, he's great, isn't he?
Yes, he's really, really good.
I love him, and I haven't mentioned him enough on the show. He's recommended certain products that I've bought, like when one of my my NAM rig was the Tascam DR60 Mark IV, whatever. It's a nice little field recorder for under the DSLR. That was all solely on his recommendation. He'll give he'll say, okay, here's my review. I think it's great. If you want to stick around, here's, you'll get the nuts and bolts of the review at the end of it. But some of these people that have a 3-second attention span, he'll say right at the beginning of the video what's cool about it. So it's really, really neat. So Jeff does the opposite. He'll say at the end, all right, let's have some coffee and chat, and here's my final wrap up, which is very cool.
That's cool.
Yeah. So we mentioned Jason Zadites earlier. Richard Henry's here from across the water. Robert Baker, as I mentioned. Matt Harrison, Quentin James. Yes, we talked about the AVH. Tactical Six String is here. Tavares Project is here as well. It says love Fluff. Let me see here. Jay's Tacos and Guitars is saying Fluff, the new studio looks killer, for sure.
Thank you.
Darren Moore Rock and Roll, who I've just got him to purchase an HX Effects. And this guy, like myself, was so against digital. And he went with the Now, do you have the HX Effects yet?
No.
No? Mm. You got to check it out. You really got to check it out. I do
want to.
Yeah, you will like it a lot. And you're going to want to update the firmware as soon as you get it, because there's a lot of, with the 2.5 firmware, whatever, 2.5, whatever. Oh, yeah. There's the reverbs and new, beautiful reverbs and stuff. But if you want to be that thing where you want to just, not the Helix, not the amp modeling and stuff like that, it could be maybe your B rig, and you'll love it. So check that out for sure. But he got that, and he's loving it. Insomniac Matt says the first video of Ryan's that I saw was his video on an EMG 5766.
Oh, wow.
How far back does that go?
Oh, boy.
2011,
that would
12?
have been 2013.
Okay, yeah. That's close.
It's pretty good.
Yeah. So he's definitely gone back.
OG, yeah.
And that's the thing. People will discover these videos. We can't predict where they're coming in, and we can't direct people. We just do our best, right?
That's the unique thing about the platform, is those videos are there forever.
I know.
Like, it's not like a commercial where it's only here for a season or something.
That's right. Good and bad and ugly and everywhere in between.
Yeah.
That's right. Let me see here. Ron Bain says, Fluff, I swear that is your favorite t-shirt.
Almost my favorite
is
t-shirt,
it? Yeah. I don't have a favorite t-shirt. As long as it has a Van Halen logo or a Road logo, I'm comfortable. And it's I have so many of these darn Van Halen shirts thanks to Van Halen store. I swear to God, if you watch my videos, it looks like I have 4 shirts, but I have like 40 of them, and it's like you could have 100 and you look like you're wearing the same shirt all the time. You just I don't know.
I get the same thing with I'm really into a band called Ghost.
Okay.
And I have a gazillion of their shirts. People are just like, "Do you have any other shirts than Ghost shirts?" Like, yeah, I don't like them though.
Here's a band name for you. I wonder if you know this. I'm sure you probably do. I should wear this shirt if I still have it. I wore it so much that it actually started to stink. And I mean, it went to the wash, but I wore it so much that
the permanent stink.
Yeah, it stunk. It stunk. Powder. Do you remember the band Powder?
Phil X?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And now probably a lot of the newer Phil X fans probably wouldn't know that. And I can't take credit for it. It was my bass player that turned me on to them, but I really liked Powder a lot. And so, he had ordered a couple of shirts. He got me one, whatever. And I'm going to look and see if I still have. There's kind of the circular logo with a little kind of a Nike swoosh in it, whatever. And it was something I wore to death. And it actually stinks, not because of the band, because of the permanent BO. But yeah, too much knowledge there. Let me see here. Insomniac Matt says, I think it would be cool for Eric to have an interview with Colin from CS Guitar. That'd be hard to organize because he lives in Scotland. No, we can organize anything. I have guests from across the world all the time. James says, Boogie rocks. Let me see here. I do this all the time. I hate when I scroll that fast. You know what? Tell you what. Before I scroll again, I'll get over to that. Tell us a little bit about your background. When you got into music, was guitar the first instrument that you gravitated towards? And did you do, like a lot of people, try some sports and things like that before music was your forte? And tell us how you may have fell or succeeded at that.
You talking about like way back?
Yeah, as a kid, as Fluff, as a pre-beard.
No, I never did. I mean, I did sports, but I never did them seriously.
Yeah.
I played trumpet. I tried to play trumpet. Let's see. I played trumpet, and then when I was 14, I started playing guitar, and that was pretty much it.
Okay. Now, sports. What sports did you get into?
Baseball. I was into baseball.
Yeah.
Baseball, football, but mainly baseball.
Were you the guy that was like, hey, this guy's good, or you just kind of went through the motions?
Somewhere in between.
Okay.
I could do okay, but I wasn't like a superstar kid or anything like that.
You held your own though. That's good.
I did okay, yeah.
Yeah. So instead of being the guy that they laughed at, instead of being the guy that's on all the cards and all the banners and stuff like that, you were at least holding your own and a team player, which is cool.
Yeah.
That's good.
Basically.
Wicked. I on the opposite hand, I tried all the sports. I sucked in hockey. I scored my first goal I scored was on my own net, and I actually cheered until all my teammates like beat the crap out of me on the ice. So the sports was not my thing. Let's jump over to the band. Blimpus is saying, Fluff, any new R&R music in the works? And I've checked out with the Facebook page today. You guys are talking about some things. Share with us what's happening in 2018.
We are recording new music. We're writing. We're demoing pre-pro stuff now.
Mm-hmm.
And then the rest of it I can't really talk about yet.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're going to be traveling a lot.
Good.
Which is all I can say.
I did see a post on Facebook about some opening acts and stuff like that. So that's very, very cool. Looking for that's awesome. Well, I know you'll release all that knowledge in due time.
In the next 2 weeks.
Wow.
People will know where to see us.
That's good. That I love how this is going with you tonight, because I had a flow of where I wanted to go with this tonight, and we're going completely out of order, but it's just awesome because we're going in and we're following the flow of the chat. What's it like with Jared, your drummer in the band? Mm-hmm. The two of you guys are like incredibly popular YouTubers. How does that translate to fans? I'm assuming it can bring in new fans as well to the band, just because of the popularity of you guys as personalities and content creators on YouTube. But how does it translate to fans, and what is it like having two guys that take away the band, or incredibly popular on a social platform, and then you're musicians in a band trying to put out a product as well?
It's an interesting transition. I mean, really, the ultimate goal with the band is to be a band of two YouTubers, not two YouTubers that have a band.
Mm-hmm.
We've had to fight. There's been some articles written that we've had to go after the people that are writing them, because like they'll bill us as they will literally bill us as Jared Dines featuring Rest Repose.
Oh wow.
That kind of stuff, and Jared doesn't like that either.
Right.
Jared Dines' band, or Rest Repose featuring Jared Dines. Like a lot of the promoters and stuff that we've worked with in the past, that's still very old school world, and they don't get the social media thing a lot. And so that's kind of been an uphill battle, although, we'll take what we can get, but
mm-hmm.
You never want to slight the other guys as well.
Exactly.
They still have to have that social currency.
Yes.
As it were, but I don't know. It's been a fun challenge. I think we definitely had an advantage forming the band going into it
mm-hmm.
that not a lot of bands have, like right off the bat. We've had some growing pains that just happen to be public, just because that's what happens when you're a young band and you're figuring out who wants to actually go and do it and who actually doesn't really want to go do it and who can do it and all that kind of stuff. So
that's right.
It's been fun, but the ship has been righted, and it's gonna be a good year.
I think probably what you could say as well too, and that's fantastic to hear, is the fact that if anyone wants to look at you guys and label you as, okay, a couple of famous YouTubers, we're just gonna do some music for fun, come on out to a show. You can hate us after you leave, or you can love us, but come out to a show, and I bet you a lot of them, when they come out to a show, they're gonna say, okay, wow, I'm really glad I come out to this.
Yeah, I mean, either way, people are gonna come out and have an awesome experience.
Yeah,
I mean, that's why you do it.
Yeah.
And it's just a lot of fun, man.
And the fact that you do have the platforms of the YouTube channels, it certainly doesn't hurt. It's a numbers game. I mean, with all numbers, you're going to have haters and lovers as well. But I mean, it's a large audience, and take it as you will, right? And to see what happens with it. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Very, very cool. Mary Blanchard says Jason Sedite's channel is great. And check him out for sure. You're going to love him for sure.
Okay.
Carlo Santin says, my Instagram videos are in that awkward, awful phase. Working on getting better, though, baby steps. And that's the thing. Confidence. This might sound silly, and you tell me your thoughts on this as well too, but there's a lot of times if I'm thinking about a new show idea, whatever, I'll recite the lines. I'll be driving in the car and I'll just recite the lines and see how it sounds. And it's like, oh God, that sounds horrible. You know what I mean? It's like, whoa, don't be saying that on the air. Or other times, like, okay, I got to remember that. I'll make a note, or I'll talk to Siri. Hey Siri, make this note. And confidence is never something you're going to be. Well, maybe some people are. You might be a David Lee Roth and you'd be a bound in confidence, overconfident. But if you're putting yourself out in social platform, just do it. One of the things he's talking about, he does a thing called origins, and he talks about origins of words. It's actually really, really cool.
That's cool.
Yeah, maybe a question I was going to ask you in the program as well, too. I think there's some things on YouTube we could do, have a lot less of, and there's probably some things we could use some more of. I don't know what the right or wrong is on that, but education, whether it be, fixing your plumbing or in this case, maybe, making some better English in people's lives, and in my life included, that's awesome. That's free content.
Yeah. Great.
Yeah. So more power to you, Carlo. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep talking to the camera. Keep talking to your friends and fans. And once it becomes natural to you, you're going to realize you're just talking, having a conversation, and it's not so scary anymore. James Poulin says it's all about the EVH community, what we share together. And I know I'm probably about 30 minutes behind the chat, which is not unlike me. Jason Sedites is here, actually, and says, thank you so much, Mary. And he says, I guess he's saying, I comment and I realize I'm logged into my wife's YouTube account. That's the best. Thank goodness it's not like a really embarrassing name or something like, Frilly Bells or something like that, right?
Yeah.
That could be embarrassing. James Poulin says, what a great interview. Thank you. I appreciate that. Single Coil Lover here, who is the wife of the Guitar News Network and Humbucker Lover. She's saying, everyone, I'm here for the Blender chat. So she comes in at the Blender chat. Perfect.
How do you feel about Blend Tech?
That's right. So I'm going to actually, when the video's done, I'm going to put in some Black & Decker and some Blender hashtags or some key, some tags, because that's going to get me the views now. Brusbo, how you doing, Eric? And all family, can't wait to hear from everybody. If FNAF Gamers is here saying, Eric, what did I miss? Not too much. You might have to rewind. Let me see here. This is a good comment from Darren Moore. He says, I personally wouldn't want to watch a review that's pure negativity anyways. As a consumer, it's a waste of my time and has little benefits for me. If your buddy might say, hey, Darren, I know you're interested in getting X and X pedal. It's not really that good. So you might save that for a rainy day, and you go to the guitar store and you try it and think, oh yeah, my buddy told me it's not good. And I agree. We don't have a lot of time in our lives to watch everything. So, if it's going to be a complete negative kind of crap fest, probably best to move on to something that might be encouraging.
Yeah. Or at least informative.
Yes, exactly.
Saying something sucks doesn't do me any good.
Why does it suck? Yeah.
Why? Yeah.
I don't like this politician. I don't like this religion. Well, why?
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
And we won't get into that, but I mean, why? You can't just say that. You got to, okay, well, and then when someone says, well, because, okay, you don't have your point is nothing.
Is this not the evangelical political hour podcast?
No.
Is this?
No.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Okay. You picked
I'm
the wrong
on the
show.
Wrong podcast.
I should have told you. That's right. I love it. Let me see here. What else we got? Carlo Santin said, negative energy is never good for anyone. I try to stay away from it. I agreed 100%. And that's one of the things too. If you're watching something, I do watch a lot of YouTube videos, thanks to my son. And if it wasn't for a 12-year-old kid, I would have not discovered you. I probably would have because of gear, but I mean, I got to give credit where credit is due. Junior is who made me discover you and Jared. And, if you don't like something, move along. Why say you suck or thumb it down or whatever? Just move along. There's lots more to watch.
You got to wonder, like, I feel sorry for those. Like, so I get told things like, I over the years, I've been told things like, you would be so much better off killing yourself than making videos like this. Or, people inboxing me, like, really threatening stuff, like, I'm going to stab you when I see you at NAMM. Or over gear videos, like, are you kidding me? Like, how bad is your life that you feel warranted that you can say that to someone that you've never even met?
A complete stranger.
A complete stranger is telling me, you know what? I hated your guitar tone so bad, and I hate your fat fingers so bad. I'm literally want to stab you when I see you.
I did have one guy threaten to rip my mustache off at NAMM. I did have that. So good luck. That's some growth. And I mean, trying to rip off that beard, that'd be a tough one. But that's a question I did have for you. How do you deal and a lot of our fellow friends, like, Robert Bakers of the world and things like that, and Jared especially. Jared's got some crazy views on his stuff, and yours as well. There's probably a lot of praise, but there's the negative, or just people who are under the bridge, waiting for their next meal of scraps to fall off, from someone with a latte above. How do you deal with the negative? And what advice could you give?
You got to embrace it, man. So, the negative comments are good because it's confirmation that your stuff is reaching new people, for one. And you never want to get in. So the dangerous thing that these YouTubers fall into, for example, the Logan Pauls of the world, they fall into the bubble. They get stuck in their own bubble of yes men and you're awesome and you're doing nothing wrong. And then you go off to a suicide forest and then film a bunch of stuff. Like, that's how that happens over a long period of time. You get in your own bubble and you have no check. There's no checks and balances, especially if all you're doing is just making vlogs and talking to the camera and making gazillions of dollars. Like, so the negative comments, like, some of them are stupid, but a lot of them may be constructive. Even if they're not, it still just should keep you in check. I mean, they're good. I wouldn't want just awesome
all praise.
Comments. I mean,
no, of course.
Who would want that?
No, exactly, because it's all smoke. It's all being smoke blown up, right? It's your friends, wanting to stroke your ego and things like that. Yeah.
Right.
And it's difficult.
You got to have the bad with the good, man.
That's right. And you put yourself out in that territory, and it does happen, which is part of the territory, whether you're an actor or a famous sports person, or even on a platform like YouTube or in Facebook and things like that. So it does happen for sure.
Yeah.
Here's a question from FNAF Gamers. He says, Fluff, don't you have a video on starting a home studio? And he says he thinks he saw that one. Did you have a video like that?
Home recording on a budget.
Yeah. Awesome.
From a few years ago. It's old.
Okay, that's cool though. Everyone needs to start somewhere, and what you can do on a budget and then always grow. It's one of the nice things about studios. It's kind of like building your home. You can always add another room on later on, take a wall down, add up. You can always add some more gear, modular, right?
Yeah, I just there's a huge difference between the guys that are like, I want to start something, on a budget. Like, okay, well, basically all you need to do is buy a MacBook.
Yep.
Okay, cool. And then there's the guys that, I'm sure you get this too, like, okay, I want a 5150 sound. My budget's $2, and you know what I mean. Like, no. Like, how can I get a 5153 tone? I want all tube, and it has to do jazz, high gain, French pop, and gypsy jazz, and King Crimson covers. And I don't want to spend any more than $150. What can I get?
Yeah.
Like,
about 3 hours at my house.
Yeah, I'm like, what?
Yeah.
No, you got to spend a little bit of money.
That's right. Yeah.
A little bit of money, but it'll go far for you.
That's right. And you can always advance from there. And the nice thing about gear, there's always trade-ins, man. Always trade-ins.
Yeah.
That's why I always tell people, when I was selling guitars to people in the music stores, I would always tell parents, okay, look, here's a $150 Sears guitar that, your child is going to sever their fingers off when they try to fret the notes, or let's spend $450 with this amplifier. It's a good guitar. It plays nice and easy. Come back and see me in 6 months when your child has, really done well with it. Let's trade in for an $800 guitar, and I'll give you, 60% of what you paid for it. Right. So you got to start with something decent and always go from there, and you'll always upgrade. Let's talk about the 5150s. Let's talk about that. So one of the videos that you've done some reviews on were the various from PV 5150s, which are great amplifiers. I've had many of them before. Through the 5153s with EVH and the Fender team, EVH gear. Tell us how that's kind of found a niche for the metal guys.
Well, back before Eddie did the original PV 5150, I mean, it was 1992, there was nothing for metal that didn't require either an overdrive and a Marshall 800 or that kind of gain state. 6 stages of gain is crazy, especially in 1992 terms. I mean, you think back to 1992, I mean, Michael Jackson was #1 on the Billboard.
Yep.
Billboard charts. I think Slash was a guest solo on the record somewhere, but like, that's what was going on in music. And the things that could compete with the 5150 costs at that time $3,000 or $4,000. You know, the Soldano SLOs and things like that kids could not afford, and gigging guitars certainly could not afford. So the PV5150 like immediately like just changed the face of metal. I mean, that's a fact. And then people started putting overdrives and tube screamers in front of them, and it's like, oh man, then you just get that magical tone.
Yeah.
And you know, that was really, really forward thinking at that time. And he had a lot of input. Also, huge credit should go to James Brown.
Yes.
Who was the engineer actually putting the solder to the board, with Eddie standing next to him going, make it more sound like this. Like,
yeah,
you know, those two together, like I don't think it can be understated on how that amp has changed popular music forever.
It has. And
it did.
You look at the artist roster. If you go to evhgear.com and you look at the artist roster, you've got everybody from country, a lot of metal. Now, I think the metal at the time was due to their artist relations manager, Chris Canella, who's a good friend of mine. You know, he was a big fan of metal, but I don't think that's all because of him. I think it's just because the metal guys have heard this. Okay, I got to check this out. Look at Scott Ian from Anthrax now, who's been a Randall guy forever and probably still doing some Randall. Obviously, he's got some signature stuff, but gone to the EL34 and just loving it. It's just gain from metal. Yeah, it's amazing. It's almost to the point where the only limitation is your imagination, because the gain, it will go there in spades.
Yes, it will.
Yeah. I was talking to you earlier off the air. I was talking about my friend Neil from over, I think he's in Ireland there. I think so. I apologize if I'm wrong, but I know he's over that way. And he did a video, because I'm always joking with people. Well, I'm not joking. This is the way I play. I dime my mids on every 5150 amp, from the PVs through the EVHs, and just for fun.
Even the EVHs, wow.
Do it for fun and do it and see what you say. And it's really funny. I watched his video and I saw this. I subscribed to his channel and I had notifications on, didn't see this video. And he labels this video with my name on it, saying like my method, whatever. And so I had to check it out. And so he's a big, burly guy, right? And, he scares you if you see him, like he's going to beat you up or something. And he's playing his guitar. And he goes, okay, I'm going to try Eric's way. And he dimes the mids. And then he goes, okay, now do I like it? I think I do. And so I always joke, I take the mids, I turn the mids to 10, and I pull the knob off so they can't be adjusted again. But the mids on those amps just sound phenomenal, and I can't take credit for it. I went to a music store, my local music store in town. I picked up some more cables for my mixer, and I said to the sales guy there, who was actually the first guitar player in my very first band. He's a sound engineer, and you might appreciate this as a sound engineer. We're going to get into a sound engineer question, which is Van Halen related next. I'm playing on stage one time, and he's running sound for the band I was in. He wasn't in the band, and he's giving me some signals, as the sound guys will do, whatever, and I'm like, what, whatever. And he's got all kinds of hand signals. I didn't know what the heck he was talking about. He wanted me to change something. And so he goes, forget it, man. You don't understand what I'm saying. He came up, he took my mids and went, whoop, like that, just because he was mad. And he dimed my mids. All of a sudden, just had this sizzle that just cut. And it's almost like for a second, it was like a hot poker in the ear, but it's like I was hearing notes I didn't hear before. And even with metal, like I know I'm assuming a lot of metal guys will scoop their mids. I don't know if that's necessarily true or not, but it sounds like that to me with an uneducated ear. But try it for fun and just see what you think, just for one day. Just crank those mids, bring the bass back, but crank the mids. And for a one guitar player band, it's awesome. Oh, I'm
sure.
Yeah, and it really does cut, so it's very, very cool. But let's jump over to, because we talked about that, because you have a recording engineer background and you do a ton of that stuff. And because we're on a VH themed show, what has been one of your favorite captured Van Halen tones, vinyl, whatever, on any recording that you've heard from an engineer standpoint? What have you thought is a favorite, and maybe tell us why?
Oh man,
I know it's a tough one. And there's no wrong answer. Everyone has a different answer. And I've never really asked an engineer before. I've just asked fans. And it could be something crazy. It could be 5150 with the introduction of electronic instruments and things like that, which you're probably not a fan of. I don't know, but maybe.
I grew up on the Van Halen records. I mean, my dad was a Van Halen nut, and when I was a kid, I was born. I'm older than most of my band. I'm 37 years old.
Okay.
and I used to stare at the back of the Van Halen one and wonder, how could David Lee Roth actually bend back that far?
Like Gumpy.
And I used to ask my dad that constantly.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm a big fan of his kind of lightly chorused. I guess they would be the Soldano tones.
Okay.
From
Carnal Knowledge.
Carnal Knowledge and Balance.
Okay, nice. Nice.
I don't know what he was using on Balance. I think it was a combination of the 5150.
Yeah.
So that was pretty new at the time,
PV's
and a Soldano or something.
Yeah, it could be a little bit of both, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like a little bit of both to me. I think the smoothness and just like there's a lot of gain on those guitars. There's really clear still.
Yep.
And for back then, like no one was having those guitar tones.
Yeah.
I mean, I just started playing guitar back then, and when that kind of stuff, like when Van Halen would come on MTV and all that kind of stuff, and I had a neighbor that had what was that called? Right Here, Right Now.
Mm-hmm.
Or Without a Net.
Yeah.
I think it was called.
Live Without a Net
record.
Oh, yeah, that was great. Well,
my neighbor, who was a little older than me, he was a young guy, but he had bought a house with his wife, and he had that on Laserdisc, I think it was.
Yeah, the big, yeah.
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 And he had the surround sound, and he used to play that, and that was just like that made a huge impression on me.
Yeah.
Yeah, those tones for me as an engineer, oh man, they sound like they were a dream to record.
There's nothing wrong with that answer. In fact, that's a great answer because a lot of people that come through the show here are,
Van Halen 1 broadside.
Yeah, exactly. And that's one of those things where that's probably one of the hardest sounds to duplicate and one of the more easier sounds to duplicate. And it's never easy, but easier. I want to emphasize the word easier. And I made a note, too, to make a mention of this, too. Brian Cazell is one of my friends on Facebook, and he's big in the Line 6 communities here. You'll see him as well, too. Him and I are working on this. He made the patch. He goes by Coffee Drinker on the Line 6 custom tone. Oh. And he did it's called Van Hagar. So check out that patch if you haven't. You probably downloaded it already. Yeah. So he's experimented a lot from that. He's going to be uploading it again, and he's done a wet, dry, wet. The balance tone around that era, a lot of people come in on that because, the younger people that are in their 20s, very early 30s are coming in around that, right? And that tone is really, really beautiful. And the secret to that, which he didn't have in the early days, is that, and you were talking earlier about chorusing and things like that, is pitch detune. And when you just do that slight pitch detune, and I preach this on the show,
was he doing a couple of cents left and a couple of cents right, and having something in the middle?
More so than a couple. It's argued. Oh. It could be argued many ways, and I'm not going to be the one that's going to say this is the way. But it's between -9 to maybe a -11 one side.
That's a lot.
Yeah, it is, and then positive. So your actual note is not changing; it's just a sense. And so negative and positive, and then really play with your mix. And with the Helix, you just put a pitch detune in there, and it's absolutely beautiful. And then you can actually assign it to the expression pedal, and you can bring that in more if you want, and or less, right? And it's absolutely beautiful with a dry mix up the center. So that's a very, very good answer. Is coming in on the balance era. It's a totally good answer.
Great records.
Yeah, it is. And I mean, I'm a David Lee Roth guy through and through, and I absolutely love David Lee Roth. But I would be a complete liar and a hypocrite if I said I didn't like the tours with Sammy Hagar. The songs kind of became, more, chantable and things like that.
See, that's interesting. As an engineer, I listened to the energy on the early records, and have you ever listened to like Roth's isolated vocals?
Oh yeah, it's kind of cool, but
they're bad.
I know.
They're pretty bad.
Yeah.
But the sum of all the parts,
yes,
is obviously amazing.
That's right.
But it's interesting what you can get away with in a mix.
I know.
And then you go from that to the perfection, sonically speaking, that those later records were.
Oh yeah.
With Hagar and how polished and produced and. Wow,
that can be said about anything. I mean, especially you have way more knowledge than I do on this subject when it comes to engineering. But you isolate some tracks, you listen to a drummer, and you listen to the snares, like, oh my god, that just sounds like absolute crap. And then you put everybody, okay, who just redid the snare? That's the same snare, right? That's a secret, as opposed to doing a karaoke thing and just layering this voice on top of everything, just sitting right there. It's like you need to find your little hole and hide in there, yet still speak, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally agree.
I like that. Let's talk about, we're gonna be wrapping up here in probably about 15 minutes or so, but let's talk. You did a recent giveaway. Now I'm not sure if you've announced the winners or not, but tell us how that went with the Sterling bass that you were doing.
Oh yeah, I did just give away the Sterling bass. I just announced the winner on Instagram about 2 hours ago.
Oh, great on. Good.
Yeah.
Who won that?
I don't know his name because it's a username, but I took a screenshot.
Oh, nice.
Just said, "Hey, dude, private message me."
You got a lot of entries on that?
I got tagged a lot. Yeah. And then in parallel to that, I did the Riffs and Beards 3 giveaway on YouTube. And that was a riff contest that lasted for 2 weeks. I got Line 6 involved. I got, I got Dunlop, and I gave away one of my signature guitars. I have not picked all of the winners yet. I still have to go through a whole bunch of entries. But it was downloaded. The backing track that they had to play along to was downloaded 7,000 times.
Oh my goodness.
So I'm like, oh boy. That doesn't mean everyone necessarily entered.
Yeah.
But last time when I did this 2 years ago and made it international, because this was US only, when I made it international 2 years ago, there was 6,000 entries, and that was 54 hours of video I had to watch.
Oh man.
I was like, I'm never going to do this again. Not like that.
You have. That's the thing. I've made some big mistakes as well too with contests. I have one running right now. I'm doing several through the summer. As soon as one ends, I'm running another one again as well too. Cool. I wanted to do one to promote in the Van Halen land. 5150 is a symbolic number, right? And I know 5150 is probably how many subscribers you get in an hour. But I mean, that's where
I wish that'd be great.
Yeah. That's where I just made that milestone a little while back. So I was giving some stuff away from Rode, and we're doing some more things like that too. But, we're always here again, throwing spaghetti at the wall to see what sticks. And one of the first contests I ran, I was using like a social driven plugin platform. And, you get all these, in the radio business, we call them like the contest pigs that just play the contest to win a prize and take it to the pawn shop and sell it, right?
Yep.
And, there's a big package that was won, and I don't even know if the person actually played guitar. And me, as the person giving something away, and especially with sponsors and that too, I take it personal. I want to see someone be, yay, and play that guitar like your bass. You probably want to see that person rock out on that bass, record some videos, maybe become a YouTuber or get a band or whatever, blah, blah, blah. But I'd much rather see that than, I took to the pawn shop and look, I got this new suitcase now, or, whatever.
Right.
So you learn from those mistakes, but what are your ideas that you're thinking that in the future that could be really cool? Maybe you don't even want to divulge that, but how do you learn from contests like you said, like that one where you did so many hours of having to watch videos? I'm sure you come up with ideas, and then maybe they're not necessarily the best idea.
Yeah, and also the last time I did this is the third time I've done this, but the last time it was hashtag based, and what I didn't know was YouTube has a cap.
Mm-hmm.
So I was having people upload their entries to YouTube with using the hashtag. Well, past 3,000 videos, YouTube will just start suggesting what they think you want to watch. You're actually never ever going to see all the entries. You can't.
Yeah.
YouTube will not let you. So you have to Google it.
Oh man.
And then it's so that's why I moved it over to Instagram, because now you can at least follow the hashtags.
That's handy.
I wish it didn't have to be video based, but I mean, video is what I do.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of known for, so that's fine. But this time was US only, and that's the first time it's been US only because it's been such a headache in the past. Like, I shipped a set of pickups to Indonesia, and the government was like, we think these are worth whatever they are. We don't really get what they are.
Mm-hmm.
We think they're worth $200. So you need to pay taxes on $200 before we give it to
brokerage.
And these winners, like, they can't afford anything.
Yeah.
And so then you're stuck. I'm not doing any of that. And people were very, very upset with me and sending me lots and lots of hate mail. But ultimately it was up to the manufacturers if they wanted to cover the cost and headache of shipping internationally.
Yeah.
And they said no.
That's true. And what I'm going to start doing too is as suggestions from fans and and friends. In a lot of cases, drop ship. If it's a big enough contest, the manufacturer will do it themselves.
And that's what I asked, and they were like, "Nope, we don't really not into that." Okay,
yeah, some will.
Your decision.
That's right. Some will, some won't. The smaller ones, actually, there's no rhyme or reason. Sometimes small ones will, big ones won't. Big ones will, some small ones won't. Sometimes you never know. So let's spend the rest of the program just going over the rest of the comments in the chat, and we'll let you get to the rest of your evening. So Carlo Santin says, the Helix is really changing my whole outlook on guitar and what I want to do with my playing. I'm stunned at what this guitar or what this thing can do. And Darren Moore says, comments right after him, says, same, I've never felt so in control of my sound before, and my playing has been solid ever since I got the HX effects. I feel good with it and along with my EVH amps. It's really nice to see people that are the true purists of the tube amps, and they're passionate about these amplifiers that they don't want to necessarily replace, but they really enjoy what's coming from these modeling. You especially. Yeah. I love a tube amp. Like, I got to have the hot tube. Yep.
But there is room on the playground for things like the Helix.
That's right. And I think anything that can inspire you to play more, I don't care what it is. Maybe it's a friend coming over and visiting. Maybe it's a new piece of gear or whatever. Whatever inspiration hits you, please run with it. Run with it.
Yep.
Mary Blanchard says Helix snapshots are amazing. Agreed. Daktar says, any suggestions for a red hot baritone ukulelist? I hope I pronounced the ukulelist right. Any suggestions for a red hot ukulelist? I don't know. Put a humbucker in it.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. Yep, humbucker.
Agreed.
There you go.
Good suggestion.
All right.
Hey, man, you want a job?
Sure. Let's do it. Let me see here. How is your new room coming along, Fluff, from Daktar?
Coming along nicely. It's pretty much done. I've had a lot of complaints that there's not enough color, but since I shoot a lot of video, things can't be really... I mean, these are hue lights. All these are hue lights, so I can program these on my phone.
Yep.
And change the color and vibe out when I'm recording a vocal or something like that if someone else is in here.
Yeah.
It has to be white most of the time. I do have red curtains, which has actually caused a lot of problems shooting video because it casts everything in red.
Yeah.
And I really wasn't thinking about that when I got them. So I think I might change them out. I don't know. We'll see.
The more you can save, you can save time in post processing and color grading.
Right.
Oh man. I've done a few things with green screen. I've outgrown my studio here, so I've actually taken over another room for the photography room if we're doing one-off product videos. And one thing I've never taken into consideration is reflective products with green screen. And I've had to scrap a couple of videos, a couple really nice ones with some really reflective boxes that come in. And when Junior got his Eastwood Airline guitar, is a beautiful white guitar, where those, it's really nice guitars. He got one for Christmas. Eastwood sent us, and I said, we cannot even go anywhere near the green screen room. It's not going to happen because that's going to reflect that guitar, so it was shot in here kind of in a dark situation.
Wouldn't have ever thought about that. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Can you get, can't you get green fabric maybe?
That's what I have. I do have green fabric.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
And it's still really reflective.
No, I don't have the world's best studio lighting. I do have some really good soft boxes and really good daylight bulbs and everything. It's decent. It's what I think I'm going to do eventually is I'm going to paint the entire room in a very flat matte chroma key green. And then I'll have more control over it. And that kind of thing. You just got to really watch reflections. So anyone doing green screening, reflections are your worst enemy. More so than a troll.
They are.
Yes. So we talked about the baritone. We talked about the room. Brian Cote says, got my Helix last month. It's awesome. And I'm going to have you back on again, too, or have you on an hour show on the Helix Hour. And we'll talk 100% about the Helix and how it's worked with you and share some of your tones as well. Maybe what we'll do on that episode, we'll put some links to some of your patches that you've made, and we'll let people download them. And maybe they can try them while we're talking on the air and see what they think. James Poulin says, loves Phil X. Kurt Singer says, watching Phil X all week. See how far behind I am on the chat? Let me see here. First Fluff video I watched was an L6 HD, Line 6 HD 500 video. Very cool. Nice.
Wow. That's an old one.
Yes. And Terry's GC, and I always get GG and G. I smell a Ryan Bruce trumpet video coming on. Get on it, Ryan. There you go.
Never.
And Kurt Singer says, I don't want to be that guy, but how about some more thumbs up? Thank you, Kurt. That's appreciated always. Show some love if you like. And if you enjoy this video, please share it out to your friends and family and things like that out there too. Ron Bain says, any Canadian tour dates? Awesome. That'd be sweet. Any Canadian? Or maybe you can't share yet.
Can't share yet.
Okay. Please let me know.
If there's any Canadian. Actually, that's a good question. I don't know.
Yeah, it always comes down.
I don't do the booking, so
no, I know.
I show up and play, man.
It always comes down to who's booking too, right? We get this all the time on the show. Come to New Mexico. Come to Baltimore. It's okay. We'll get your promoter to book it. But that would be awesome. Please keep me posted. We've got our cell phone numbers now, so let me know, and I'll be sure to share that too when it's available to be shared. Don't forget the shameless plug of Ryan's name being on the back of the Ernie Ball Strings packages. I did not know that. Is it?
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. That is wicked.
They surprised me at NAMM and said, "Hey, check out a pack over there." I was like, "Why?"
That is awesome. Well, congratulations. That's it. That's huge.
Thanks, man.
That's like as kids getting our hockey cards, and that's very cool.
Yeah, I was like, dude, my 14-year-old me is literally crapping himself right now.
That's awesome.
And that's the one thing. Like my dad, my parents kind of like they have a good idea of what I do, but like. They don't really understand what I do. But that was the thing that my dad was like, whoa.
You've made it.
My dad was like, you remember when I used to take you to get those strings like at Green River Music, right? And I was like, yeah. He's like, wow.
That's awesome. It's all because of me.
So that was pretty cool.
Because I took you to that store.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, I'm very proud of you, man. That's awesome. Very good. Thanks, on you, dude. For sure. So thank you for letting me know about that, Terry. I did not know that. And I play a lot of, I like the Super Slinkies a lot, and I'm also using the Dario, the NMWay XLs a lot too.
Those are good too.
Yeah, they last a long time. Mm-hmm. Jared Dines does have many subs, for sure. That's from Daktar.
Many subs.
He's crazy for sure. And Matt Harrison says, always appreciated Fluff's love, respect for PVMs, 5150, 6505, and the JSX, especially when a lot of others like to put them down. When I got my signature 5150 in 02, it was the answer to my rig problems. Perfect. Nice share, Matt. Thank you. And V-Man says, wish we had the internet of today 25 years ago. We just cranked it up as loud as we could to get more people. Awesome. And Insomniac Matt says, as a Canadian, I have a question for Ryan, who lives close to Vancouver. Here we go. This is great. Now you're talking my language. You had me here on this one. He says, hey, have you ever had Tim Hortons coffee? You get it down your way a little bit.
No, I don't think I have. I definitely have heard of the coffee, and I think I saw it once on tour.
Yep.
I don't think I ever had it, though.
Okay.
I don't know. I have a lot of coffee in a lot of places.
I'm sure. It's great coffee, but it's not as consistent as some. I love it to death, but it's not consistent. But here in Canada, as a musician touring, you plot your tour itinerary according, there's a Tim Hortons on here, and we get to this one at 8 hours over. Yeah, that's how you route your tours in Canada.
That's awesome.
Based around Tim Hortons, yeah. Let me see here. We're wrapping up here shortly here. Habs247 says, yeah, I'm not too late. We are wrapping up here soon, so but you have to go back and watch this one. It's going to be a fun one to replay for sure. Okay, here's a question. I don't follow the Carvin stuff much. I mean, obviously, I've known Carvin for years, with artists like Steve Vai and people like that. But Dactar says, what do you guys think about the sub $500 price for the Carvin 50-watt combo? Have you done much reviews on Carvin stuff, and do you know anything about that?
No, Carvin just went under.
Yeah. So. Yeah, and slowly resurrecting a little bit. I guess they're coming back with
they?
Yeah, somewhat. I guess some products are bringing back out. I don't know the full story.
I don't know anything about them.
Yeah. Okay, so we don't know on that one. So sorry. And never got to play them personally, but always wanted to. And I never really gravitated towards the Carvin stuff. I don't have anything bad to say about it. I don't have anything good because I've never played it. Yeah, it's one of those things. Thomas Santiago says, hello, Eric, and everyone in the chat. Sorry, I'm late. No problem. There's no penalty for being late, other than you have to give a thumbs up just because. Carlo Santin says, I think the Carvin stuff might be available in some places still. They made good stuff. It's a shame they closed shop. And Kurt Singer says, Carvin makes great stuff. I had an original Legacy amp cab and loved it. Only sold because
Legacy amp. Yeah. Awesome.
That's what Jamie Trevino, a good friend of mine here on the show, he plays in an 80s band called Rockstar. And he's using a lot of EVH stuff, and he's got the Legacy stuff in combination with Helix. He uses the power amp of the Legacy and all Helix, and it sounds quite nice. Let me see here. Dactar says, need more dad jokes. I watched some of your videos about being the cool dad, too. That's kind of neat. That's awesome. You know, trying to be the cool dad, and the more you try, you're probably failing miserably.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's what a dad is.
That's right. I know. I try to be. I haven't got to that point too much. I tend to find myself getting like, I'll bring up memes just to kind of upset the boy. Like he'll say, I'll bring up some memes that are dead. I'm gonna bring this back, and he's like, oh, don't do that, please. You know, like we're number one and all this other kind of stuff. You know, of him. What was that show now? I don't even want to go there because he's watching. He's gonna say, Dad, you embarrassed me. But you know what it's like, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Let me see. Last few comments here. I think we're just about down towards the end here. Let's go back a little bit. I'm probably not going to get to everybody. Brusbo says, Eric, can you sometimes show me how to hook up a wet dry with 250-watt Marshalls with the Helix? More than happy. And I'm going to try to do some demos this weekend with some of these wet dry wet patches, especially with that one Brian Cazell wrote. It's really awesome. And Quentin James says, Helix, never heard of it. We need to start a GoFundMe. Not a GoFundMe, because I'm not saying Quentin needs the money or anything like that, but we need to get Quentin a Helix, because I'm tired of hearing him complaining about it. And I'm saying that in the nicest way. I love Quentin, but he needs a Helix, and he needs it in his life. He's had Line 6 products before, but we need to get him a Helix. So Line 6, send Quentin James a Helix, please. And let me see who else we got here. I apologize. I won't be able to get to everybody here as well. Cutter Savage is jumping in, a great guitar player. What's everyone showing up late? Am I missing anybody else? There's Jamie himself at the law says, Detroit Traffic, what's up? And we're just talking about him with his carving stuff and the Helix. He's starting his own channel right away too, doing a lot of Line 6 stuff as well too. David Ennis is here, Mr. Guitar Mike. A lot of people, I can't get to all the questions and comments. We're right on the 90-minute mark itself. So I've got a whole whack of links down below to pretty much every property that you own, from your website to your YouTube channel to your Bandcamp for Rest Repose, Facebook properties, everything like that.
Wow.
Just so please, everyone, you're probably already subscribed to Fluff's properties, but please, if you haven't, go check that out, subscribe, and enjoy the great reviews.
Thanks, man.
What's something you would like to? What's something you want to do this year on YouTube that maybe you haven't done yet? And I don't want you to give away any secrets, but just for fun, what would you like to do that's just totally out of your wheelhouse and for fun sometime?
I've been wanting to do more comedic things with some of my friends, or take advantage of some opportunities that I may or may not have the opportunity to do, using, like, you know, if I go to the PRS experience or something like that, like, maybe I could film something funny with Mark Tremonti or something. Like, I want to do that kind of stuff. Just because I can, and I have that opportunity.
Yeah.
And those sorts of opportunities. And so, you know, I hope to do that. Like, pull off something like, hey, what was he doing in a Fluff video? What? Who the hell? Wait, what?
Yeah.
Like, that's what I want to achieve.
That's cool. That'll be fun. And yeah, that's the thing, right? I mean, you've got to the point now where you can interact with a lot of these celebrities. You've got them on speed dial in a lot of cases in your phone. You know, you're at a convention. Yeah. Let's do something and have some fun out of the norm and not so serious. That'll be cool.
Yeah.
I'll look forward to it.
I'm going to try to pull it off.
I think you can do it. If anyone can do it, you can do it. We've got some great feedback towards the end of the show here as well too. Daktar says, happy Friday and happy Shamrocks to all. Steve Segura says, great show. Thank you, Eric and Fluff. Sean Zimmerman, what do you think of the vintage PV USA guitarists other than Wolfgang's? I've liked some of them. I haven't played too many original PVs.
I've played a couple. The Wolfgang's primarily is what I played. I mean, honestly, at the time, I don't know if maybe this is just my perception of it at the time, but at the time, even the USA PV stuff was kind of looked at as a poor man's whatever, like, it's a poor man's Strat.
Yep.
Or that's a poor man's, because at that time, even the American stuff was just knockoff Telly and Strat stuff.
That's right.
And it wasn't until the Wolfgang came out that they really made a gun for, like, the original. Whoa.
Yep.
What is that? That's how I remember it at that time.
I agree. I've got 3 of them here of the USA PVs, and they're amazing. Absolutely amazing. Yeah,
totally agree.
For sure. And you were almost laughed at back in the day before the 5150 amplifier came out and before that Wolfgang came out. If you're using a PV, you know, if you're using like a whatever.
ETM.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That was a big one too back in the day.
That's a Soundgarden amp.
Yeah.
That's basically an 800.
That's right. But it was PV's name on it, right? So.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Using a PV.
Roadmasters.
Yeah.
butchers.
Yep. Oh yeah, the butcher. That's right. Yeah. So very, very cool. Carlo Santin, another great show tonight. Thanks, Eric and Fluff. Enjoyed the show from Bobby Clipper. And Jamie says, at this rate, I'll be able to wait for the upload and then listen to the entire show before I'm home. Cutter Savage saying hello, David Ennis. And did I miss anybody else? Terry says, again, great to see you. That you got Ryan on, Eric, and thanks for coming on, Ryan, from Terry B on Facebook. Mod for the Tone King. He does a great job. Pixie and others as well too. Yeah, he does a great job, and I got to commend him for the work he does on channels that large. I have a hard enough time with this little channel, so huge props to you, man. And Ryan, thank you so very, very much for taking your time to come on the show.
Thanks for having me, man.
I'm very, very inspired by what you do, and inspiration is very important. So you give me inspiration and a lot of the fans here at the show. So it's a real pleasure, and I hope you have a fantastic weekend.
You too. Thanks everyone, and thanks, man. We'll chat soon.
Sounds great. All right, we'll take care. I'll let you fly.
All right, man.
All right, take care.
See you later.
Cheers. All right, everybody. So thank you so very, very much for having a nice, fun Friday, warming up your weekend. EVH and Gear TV. I'm going to be back again for the kickoff of a new segment on Sunday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's going to be a 60-minute segment. It's called the Helix Hour. And for those of people that are kind of wondering and confused, where are you going with this and all these different things, there's a lot of people in the Van Halen community that are looking for effects and things of that nature we're always chasing that brown sound, right? So the Helix is just one of many tools that are out there available to get this brown sound that we're always chasing, the HX effects and all kinds of other products throughout the umbrella of the Line 6 product. That being said, it's going to be a 60-minute, kind of a tighter show. We're going to get into demonstrations by professionals. I've got Paul Heinmarsh coming on, who does pretty much I shouldn't say all of, but I mean many of the greatest demos for Line 6 personally, and going to kind of share how he discovered the brand, how he got into it, how it's changed his life, and maybe some tips he can share with us on how to achieve that as well too. So I'm going to just go back over briefly just to wrap up on the questions as well too. Some great feedback from everybody over here. Matt Harris and James Brown first project was a VTM, and that I did not know, so that's very, very cool. I played in many bands with guitar players that had the VTM. And Sean Zimmerman says, check out the PV Destiny, Custom Me, and Odysseys. Blimpus Videos says, love the show, guys. DJ Asterisk says, Fluff, how you been digging the Helix? And I'm sorry, he's gone now, but he loves it to death. And as I get him back on a guest on the Helix Hour, I'll have him share some of the patches that he's created, and we'll have those for downloads. And maybe we'll even get him to, we'll do something kind of fun on the fly. We'll get him to create something on the fly together, and we'll share an exclusive for you Helix fans as well, too. Doctor says, great shoe. V-Man says, I remember playing a PV Triumph combo back in the day that rocked. And I used to have the PV Stereo Chorus 212. That was my first real big combo from PV. I really liked that a lot. I'm Ryder says, I literally just got on. No problem. Sorry for the wrap up, but go back and watch the replay. Terry says, thanks, Eric. Great show. And Terry, working on getting Tone King on here right away as well too. We're talking briefly. I got to send him an email to remind him about it. So get him on the show. Cutter Savage says, love the show. I'll have to check out the replay. Can you shred of us, please, right now? I see a couple guitars in the background. I'm not fully prepared at the moment to shred, but I promise you I will do some over the weekend. So thank you for the request. But I don't want to leave any dead air here, so I will do one for you very soon, I promise. Steve says, Segura, did I miss? Who did I miss there? Lots of comments coming in. AVH Lefford, I assume he's talking to Fluffy. You always have great t-shirts. Humbucker Lover Guitar News Network says, awesome show, Eric. Thank you, buddy. Calling you tomorrow on Skype. We're going to have some fun with some guitars. And Jamie says 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Is that correct? And that is correct. The first show, it could be some bugs and some, be patient with me. It's like kind of starting all over again. But the Helix Hour is a new segment I'm very proud of to introduce, and it's going to be it was going to be once a month. It's going to be as far as I know every Sunday as well too, along with every Friday with EVH and Gear TV, and then when I do the jams as well too. So one of these days it'll become a full-time job where I can just do this full-time, because it's becoming that way quickly. It's a full-time job without full-time pay. So it'll be nice one day when we can dedicate all resources to that. Let me see here. Wolverine says, Sean Zimmerman says, awesome show. Thanks as always. Wolverine says, I'm late, but have you covered Helix HX effects? Trying to see if Looper is fully functioning with 99 presets to save backing tracks and play over. That's a question I do not know 100% answer. We did touch base briefly on Helix HX effects, but Wolverine, please do me a favor, tune in on Sunday and we'll ask Paul that directly. I have the HX effects. I just don't know the answer to that question. And one thing I've never done on this show is said I know something that I don't, and I'll always ask. So let's get the direct answer from Paul. He can probably help us. Terry says Ryan's a very cool guy. Followed him for the last 3-4 years. I really enjoy him as well too, and he's a real inspiration to me. Quentin James says the Tone King. Looking forward to my buddy Cameron Cooper on next week. Yes, me too, immensely. Looking forward to that next Friday. And there was a mix-up. There was a double booking for tonight, and that guest we bumped again. It was a scheduling snafu. Craig Rendles was supposed to be here tonight, and he was double booked on another night. It's just one of these things where it was an absolute scheduling snafu. But Craig is looking forward to coming back, and he's going to be on for sure. So we changed the schedule tonight. We put Fluff in for Craig, but Cameron is coming on next Friday. It's going to be fantastic. Looking forward to it. He's really known for his Van Halen stuff. He's an amazing player. We'll talk about his Steel Panther on stage antics and whatnot. Terry says, yes, if you want to make sure he responds, you definitely email TTK. I will for sure. Copy that from Wolverine. Says, thanks so much. So listen, everyone, I'm going to let you go. We're only get about 10 minutes past the hour, or the 90 minutes that we normally run. Thank you so very, very much. We do have a contest running right now for a fantastic Rode studio package, which is a Rode NT1 microphone, the AI1 recording interface, shock mount, cables, the whole kit and caboodle, absolutely free for one lucky winner. Go to EVH Gear. Actually, sorry. Let's go to facebook.com/EVH Gear TV, and you'll see a post on there for enter the things. There's all kinds of extra ways to win, to get extra incentives and extra entries and things like that. So very, very thankful for everybody. Neil, okay, there's a new person to the show. I must say hello to a new member. Neil Kimmel says, new to the show, looks like I am hooked. Thank you, Neil. I'm very proud and pleased to have you here as a new visitor, maybe a subscriber, and I will try to work. Kind of a thing I like to profess here on the show is just like going to get a job. You know, you work so hard to get a job, and you go to your interview and you get your job, and then maybe 6 months or a couple of years go down the road and you just go through the motions. I like to, when it comes to subscribers here and new people coming to the show, I like to work as hard to keep you guys and girls as subscribers as I did to get you. So Neil, I promise to work very, very hard to keep you here as a subscriber and keep you entertained. Max Rader says, that's always, thanks, always great guests and quality shows, and have a good night, Eric and folks. Max Rader says, yes, I appreciate that, everybody. I'm going to turn it over to the outro credits here. If you're interested in supporting the show, I do have a Patreon available. You'll hear about that in the description on the way out. A big thanks to everybody for your support, and looking forward to seeing you on Sunday. And whether or not you can make it for the Helix Hour, I hope you all have a fantastic weekend. Check out Fluff's stuff down below in the description. Go subscribe to his properties, and if you're new to his channel, tell him that EVH and Gear TV sent you. We'll see you real soon. Have a great weekend. Be good to one another. Cheers. I am now on Patreon. If you enjoy my content and wish to support my channel and what I do, then please check out my Patreon page at patreon.com/EVHGearTV. Your support assures the continued growth of this channel and a fun community in which to share our love for Van Halen, music gear, and much more.
My name is Eric, and I'm playing Wolfgang guitar.
Video production services provided by Design 39 Media. Visit design39media.com for all your website, photography, and video production needs. Microphones for EVH and Gear TV are provided by Rode Microphones, and official Van Halen merchandise is provided by VanHalenStore.com.